Hello. Well, I made a little video. Part of the title is Coffee Break. I don't know how well it went because I went into it with an idea in the mind about just providing something uplifting. I was seeing how many things are just besetting us that are negative and dark in one way or another. And it's nice just to, and rare to find something that's just simply uplifting. So I don't know. Giving things over to mind is still something I'm not comfortable with. Uh, but somehow, in whatever development is going on with me right now, mind is being brought more into the picture. And so I'm working to adapt to that. So we'll see. Uh, but the flow doesn't come from there. Most everything that I say didn't come through the mind. It's a strange feeling, but you can find it in journaling yourself, where if you center in heart and just start writing on what concerns you in your now moment, you can reach a point where things will start coming out on the page that either you didn't know that you knew, or you'll recognize eventually that it's possible to write and to have things come to you apparently from some aspect of a higher mind or something. I don't know. I often call it higher self, but I really don't have a knowing on that. That they simply didn't come through your conscious mind. All right, now, why am I here? Free will. I think we all ponder that quite a bit. And I guess I'm going to put my 2 cents worth in. Now, this isn't anything final. I don't know that there's such a thing as final. That might be one of those words we can consider not using so much. I mean, when you have infinity and eternity, what's with final? How can anything be final? So, that being said, in other words, it's a work in progress, my understanding of free will is. But I want to explore it, find out what it is, and share it. Believe it or not, in commenting on some other people's video, there's discussion going on where others are saying, oh no, absolutely everything in your life is created by you. And I have to laugh because, it's rare enough to find people that see this. But, and I do, I see it and I say it often, but I don't see it as 100% thing. If we had complete and total free will, a free will that was empowered, we would want $1,000,000 and we'd have it. We would want the perfect mate. We would, make it happen. If it was within our will to do that, there's not one of us, I would venture to say, that wouldn't change some things. And so I think a lot of it gets down to our definition of I. And remember, what I say is that there's no use answering the other questions until you've answered the who am I one. Because just as soon as you get in there and change your understanding of who you are, everything else falls apart, and you have to look at all of it all over again because you're coming at it from a different perspective. And so while it's nice to know that the conscious mind is only 7 to 10% of the whole, and that we have these other aspects of mind that are also us. And I encourage everyone to take responsibility for the reality that your unconscious, your subconscious, and your superconscious are also you. And that's just your mind here. I mean, that's not the whole of you. We're just talking mind here. So there's a lot that when you shift your perspective, it changes everything. And so if we're talking, for instance, from the perspective of conscious mind, and if conscious mind, the 7% of who and what we are, cannot say that it creates its reality and that it has free will, because most of what creates our reality is either subconscious or unconscious, or indeed superconscious. Our beliefs are not stored in the conscious mind. Most of those reside at least at the subconscious level. And that's how and why we trip ourselves up all the time. And we find ourselves, or we see other people working at cross purposes with themselves, self-defeating behaviors and so on. And so it depends where we're coming from. We can say the exact same thing, but if we have a different definition of I, we can have quite a different meaning on things. And so I suspect a lot of the discussion that goes on where people seem to be at cross purposes, we're probably not really. It's just a matter of finding out where we're coming from. And once we acknowledge that, see, there are many angles to see this from, to see anything from, I guess. But when we look at free will, I do say that we are the creators of our reality, that we're projecting the whole thing. But there's more than just the individual in this case. Now, I know there's ultimate oneness, but you've got two sides of the coin. There's also individuality that we're dealing with here and now. And that's where we're functioning, and that's what we're talking about right here. So we take both into consideration, but, I'm leaning toward the manifestation part, the individual part. So if we're creating our reality, let's look at the flow of circumstances in our life. Let's look at the situations that we would never choose to come into consciously, the breakup of a relationship or anything difficult. The conscious mind would generally not choose difficult experiences. I think in a lot of cases, we can say that what's acting there is the higher self, maybe the superconscious mind, in bringing these things to us. I find in anything and everything that comes my way, it's all blessing. It's all made of love. Even if it's a punch in the nose, even if it's a rape, even if it's something terrible, the overall outcome is blessing, benefit, and growth, if I can only see it. Often we have to adjust our vision to see it. I think more often, though, hindsight gives it to us. A few years down the road, we're more able to look back and analyze and see the bigger picture, and we realized the benefit that just isn't seen in the moment often. I mean, sometimes it is. The more and more we adjust our perspective and work on what I call flexible perspective, being able to shift our reality, our vision. Many things can be true, but a lot of times, if you look at the massive gem that I talk about, the divine gem where everyone and everything is a facet, the whole thing altogether is source or God, creator, and that in the heart of the gem is the central sun that we could say is the central divinity. And each and every facet there is an angle of vision, a perspective for God, for source. It's a way of looking at things. It's an angle of vision, a perspective, really quite literally. And so each individual person is also their own gem. And we have individually all of that available to us. We too can shift our angle of vision. There would be no fights if everyone would come to know and understand this, that within us we have like a dial that we can turn, and we can see things from different perspectives. So often people fight completely unnecessarily because their higher selves are best buds and they know they really do agree. It's just that the conscious mind has taken a certain angle on things. And when we have beliefs, whatever our beliefs are, they tend to restrict our vision. They tend to limit us. We tend to manifest what we expect or what we believe is how things work. And corollary to that is we've got blinders on, and that help us not be open to things that disagree with our perspective that we've chosen. And so I think the more beliefs we throw out, I mean, let's just have a bonfire and burn them all. There's no belief that can really be true, not here in 3D. I think real truth is something that's divine, and it's for lack of a better word, a higher dimensional thing. It's really an aspect of divinity, and we are that. So I think in a way we can say I am truth, but that's one of those on the one hand and on the other hand things. Just because it can be said doesn't mean that we're in such alignment with that and such purity that it would be truthful coming out of our lips. Standing in integrity is most important. Okay, so if we're looking at free will, let's define self. We have to, my friends. I don't find another way to do this. If we define self as the higher self, perhaps, you know, what psychology calls the superconscious. I don't know, that might be an aspect of mine, but let's just call it your divine self, your higher self, oversoul, something. Then I think we can say that one has free will. That one is the custodian, perhaps, of free will, because that one knows what is best for us and brings it along, even the things that hurt, the things that we wouldn't choose in any way consciously. When they come to us, we must know that in some way we've created that. So I think one way to look at it is from the superconscious, the divine aspect, knowing that this is best, this is needed, this will come. Okay, another way to look at this is we're not the only creators on the planet, or we're not the only creator on the planet. Each and every one of us is doing this. And there's also what could be called the collective. And I'm not talking about some airy-fairy unity. I'm talking about the collective mind. Maybe this is what some call the astral plane. I don't know, but it's a very real thing. It's where all the minds are united, not consciously for the most part, but there are some rules of the game that we accepted before we came in, some collective agreements that we made that certain things would work this way and manifest that way and so on. So we have not only the individual at work that we are, but we also have the collective that we are. And I think that needs to be taken into account, because if we've made a certain collective agreement on something, then the individual going against that isn't necessarily going to be successful. That won't necessarily be an effective use of free will, or maybe our free will doesn't extend that far. I don't know how to say all of this. It's not something I've thought about this deeply before. Okay, and I'm going to throw a curve in here. Hopefully it fits. What about projecting? Part of the way that we create, again, subconscious and unconscious, we project on what we observe. And so if I have some kind of unresolved issue within, I may well be seeing in others around me, in the videos I watch, in whatever comes my way, I'll be seeing it from a certain angle, and I will be projecting. I will be coloring what I see based on what's going on inside of me. Very few of us are aware of this. I think more and more of us know about it. We've heard of it. But how observant are we? And can we catch ourselves doing that? And I can't really give any good examples. I haven't worked through this yet. I just watched a video, Dimitri Halley's latest video, on projecting terrorism as a mass panic attack. And I thought it was really good. But he's the psychologist among us. When he was talking about a husband that was coming in for assistance, actually for his wife, because he felt she was being domineering and controlling and that sort of thing. Well, my first thought was, well, okay, he must have that inside of himself, and he's being that way without realizing it and projecting it on her. But that wasn't what Dimitri said. Instead, what he said was he was projecting as immature, as a child, bringing out this domineering kind of mothering influence in his mate without even knowing that he's creating this response. His inner workings are manifesting this way. How did he say it? I actually wrote it down. I like it a lot, the way he said, we teach people how to treat us. I think this is excellent. So much could be gained by just watching what we project. Well, how does this have to do with free will? I keep going back again and again to we must define the I. Until we can say who and what we are and where we're coming from when we're talking about something like this, we can be talking at cross purposes without even knowing it. Gosh, have I gotten anywhere with this? We project our own conflicts. Until we have peace within us, there will be war. Until we have love within us, until we can love the self, until we can be that which we want to see, then we create the external quote-unquote problems. It's just they're mirroring us. And so, in a way, this is what we're doing with our free will. We're showing ourselves by the world we've created what we look like on the inside, are we not? I'm always talking about why are we medicating the pimple on the mirror? Why are we putting the acne cream on the mirror? If we're trying to fix something out in the world, that's what we're doing. That's my view of things. But my view is not whole and complete here. And I think I've revealed a number of the chinks in it. So I'm really open to some discussion, even people making some videos on this, so that we can share back and forth and come into a higher understanding. I don't know about you folks, but as I look around in my 3D world here, I don't find a single voice for truth that has a monopoly on that. I find again and again bits, parts, and pieces. There are some of us that have more than others. The ones that are more on towards awakening is one way to say it. You know, somebody like a Muji or a Papaji or someone like that. But even even with these, they don't have it all. No one has it all. What so often we find is that someone will have a specialty, a very particular angle that has been that one's joy to pursue into a more complete understanding. And with great joy, they share that with us, and it benefits us one and all. You know, we need to know that we're open and that we're complete by our brethren as a whole. You know, the divine gem is one gem. We're the individual facets on the same gem. And if we want a different angle on things, we turn to our brethren and they can help out. And so I haven't found this to be the realm where truth is freely and or easily available. What I find everywhere is dishonesty, discord, and lies, deceit. Um, it's, you know, superficially anyway, it's rather a mess, though there are still the voices, the beautiful voices singing their truth. And so we're weaving light into that. But my friends, we've got to go within for it. As we listen to one another, what works is what comes from inside of us. It's not time anymore to be looking to back up what we say with references, with scientific papers, with books, with gurus that have expressed this opinion. That the time for that isn't now. I don't see it. The time now is to wake up to the divinity that's within and let that speak. And it can and it will through each of us. And all of us together sing the song of truth and of divinity and of such a power and a purity, such a freedom and a joy that will raise us up, that will be the wings and be the wind under the wings, that will take us into the next dimension. Wherever we're going, it will take us into higher consciousness. We've got to go together, my friends. Let's keep linking up like this. Thanks, Source, for the internet. Good day.